Hey guys, welcome to another talk. The title of this class, No Number of Prayers Will Make an Eagle Out of a Crow. No can do. Okay, no number of prayers will make an eagle out of a crow. We're on the 10 perfections. This is perfection number 8, which is determination or tenacity. Okay, let's do it. In 1986 September, Master B had hair. Well, not really, because it was all shaved off. I was 31 years old at the time, and I was in Japan for about 3 months in a beautiful monastery practicing zazen. Lovely place. A week after I arrived, I was out there weeding the garden that didn't really require weeding, because so many people have been weeding it, but still weeding. Yeah. I was close to the office or the place where people register to join the monastery. Weeding, when suddenly I heard this tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Someone was walking in from the entrance down the pathway towards me. I didn't look up. I was just doing my weeding like a good Zen practitioner. But then that tick-tock came and stood right in front of me, and I saw these red shoes, high heel. Looked up, lady in red, Japanese babe. Hello? Where is the office, please? There, right there. Oh, thank you, thank you. And she went into the office. The lady in red, after I finished weeding, was walking around, and I saw her sitting in the hondo. Hondo is where we have our meals and do our chanting. Zendo is where we do the practice. Okay, there she was in the hondo, speaking with the abbot. Whisper, whisper, whisper. And then before I knew it, an hour or so later, the red dress was gone, and she was in the outfit of a practitioner. There's a certain dress code in the monastery. There she was going to join. Woo, pretty good. Now, although there were women practicing there also, it was not encouraged that we hang out or chat with the women. Keep a little distance so ideas don't happen in the head. So I never really got a chance to speak with her. Not much. But what I noticed about her was that she was poetry in motion. Remember that song from the 60s? Poetry in motion. Yeah? She was an embodiment of poetry in motion. Apart from the abbot, no one in the monastery, not even the head monk, had the grace and the elegance that this lady embodied. Her name was Miyuki-san. Miyuki-san. Hi. The way she would sit for her meals, the way she rose up after the meals, the way she did anything, I was totally mesmerized. the elegance, the grace, the effortlessness with which she did everything, the mindfulness with which she did everything was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I fell in love with her. Little bit of love coming. She was an incredible joy to observe. I could just gaze at her all day. Her movements were just spectacular. Anyway, can't drag on the story for too long. A day before I left the monastery, it was like a holiday, and I got a chance to chat with her. So we went, scampered off away from the gaze of everybody, and we went to a quiet spot where I could talk to her. And I said to her, Miyuki-san, I am absolutely baffled with the way you carry yourself. Where did you acquire this grace? I want to know the secret. And here's what she said. Oh, Behram-san, I am a Kyudo practitioner. Kyudo, Japanese archery. I've been practicing Kyudo for several years. And the practice requires us not just physical power, mental power, stillness in the mind. And because I've been practicing Kyudo, this is why I am the way I am. Fantastic. Kyudo. A discipline and awareness. Apart from that, she told me her story. I said, what brought you here to the monastery? And she said, well, I wanted to study something in university. And my parents said, no, you will study something else. And there was this conflict between us. So they convinced me to come here because the abbot is their teacher and seek some advice from the abbot as to what to do. Because I wanted to do this, but my parents were insisting that I do that. So I came here for some advice. And the teacher, Roshi-sama, he advised me, why don't you stay here for a little time? Because I cannot tell you what to do. You have to figure out yourself. But to figure out what you really need to do, you need a little more stillness in your mind, free from your prejudices and opinions. By acquiring such stillness, you will be guided towards making the right choice. That's what he told me. So I said, okay, can I start today? He said, yes. So I joined the monastery. And I'm loving the practice. My mind is getting a little more still. All that, I want this, I want that is getting less. I'm able to see things a little more clearly. I don't know how long I will be here, Behram-san. But I know I will find a little clarity for my life direction. Brilliant stuff. Can you imagine? Just walked into the monastery, tick-tock on her high heels, and now she's practicing Zazen full on. Determination. Tenacity. Let's see what that means. What are some synonyms? What are some other ways of understanding this word determination or tenacity? Perseverance, persistence, grit, resolve, doggedness. Many ways to describe it. Determination. Now, why is it a perfection? Why is it amongst the perfection which we need to perfect? What is it that we need to channel this determination towards? Master B, of course, awakening. What else? Really? All right. Now let's see if you can follow what I'm leading to with the set of questions coming up. Okay? To see where, what determination is about and where it needs to be channeled. If you were out in the bush with your rifle hunting birds, there you were hunting birds, and I walk up to you and say, hey, buddy, I'm doing a little quiz. Can you guide me? I need to name 3 birds. What would you say? I need 3 birds, names of 3 birds. What kind of birds? If you're in the bush hunting birds for your bird pie, and I ask you to name 3 birds, what birds would come to your mind? Ducks, quail, wild turkey? Probably. Those are the kind of birds we use in the bird pie. Okay. What if you were in the bush with your binoculars? No guns, binoculars, because you are an avid bird watcher. And I ask you to name 3 birds. You're out in the bush, 3 birds. Ah, okay. Would they be ducks, quail, and turkey? Would they be crows, magpies, swallows, sparrows? Nah. You would name birds that are unique for their sound, for their resonance, small little things maybe. Yeah, beautiful little birds. Not birds meant for the bird pie. Yeah, your mind is influenced differently in different contexts. Okay? Right. Now, what if you were out there in the pub in Australia, sloshing away with your buddies, and I say, hey, what are 2 favorite drinks for the guys hanging out here? 2 favorite drinks. What would you say? Beer in Australia and whiskey, most likely. Yeah, 2 favorite drinks. Hot sellers. If you were in Russia, what would you say? Possibly vodka and some other drink. And if you were in Nigeria, Guinness and some other drink. Yeah. Different contexts spark different realities. Clear? If you were a health fanatic and I ask you for 2 of your favorite drinks, would beer and vodka and Guinness and who knows what else, would that be on your list? No. Green tea, Master B? And smoothies? Possibly. Right. So now we come to another question. Follow me, see where I'm heading. Is the way we think and behave determined by our predispositions, our character, personality traits? Is the way we think and behave determined by our personality, or is it determined by the environment we are in? Remember? Out in the bush. Remember? Out in the pub. Environment. Okay. Once again, is the way we think and behave determined by our character traits, or is it determined by the context in which we find ourselves or in which we live? The way we think and behave is jointly determined by our character traits and the environment in which we hang out. Both, not one or the other. Together, confluence of the two. Right? Now, if that's the case, then our efforts in raising our frequencies, our efforts in bettering ourselves, or in rising to a higher form of living is doomed for failure if we are not in the right context. Very, very important. If the context does not change for the better, neither do we. Context is imperative. Just think, why did the Buddha, with profound personal qualities, just ripe for awakening, profound from lifetimes of practice, he had those qualities, but he could not unleash those qualities in the context of his home environment. He left his family, his wife and kid. He left his parents. He left his kingdom. And he scuttled off into the jungles. He practiced with two of the finest teachers first to perfect his mind. After that, he scuttled off, further off into the jungles and practiced austerities, which you can't even imagine. 6 long years of practice in the jungles. And finally, when the time was right, in the right context, he awoke to magnificence you cannot even imagine. All right? Once again, for us to awaken to our glory, we need the right context. If the context does not change for the better, neither do we. So what exactly is this context? What exactly is this environment that we need to be determined to be in for us to unleash our magnificence? Must there be? Is it the Sangha? Yes, my darling. The Sangha. But what is the Sangha? The Sangha is not just composed of, it's not just consisting of the flagship enterprise piloted by our teacher and the like-minded beings, our spiritual friends who assist us in our practice. That's not all. The Sangha consists also of family members, friends, and our work environment. All these realities have to be conducive for awakening, have to be supportive of our awakening. If these realities are not in place, you might have a great teacher, you might have great spiritual friends, but if your home environment or your work environment or your social life is a little bit screwed, rather difficult. It all has to blend together into a seamless whole. Very, very important. Tell me, one little apple seed, can this little apple seed give me one tree or many trees? Must be, yeah, it'll give many trees. Yes. Really? Apple seed? You kidding me? So must be, what is it? An apple seed only has the imprint for creating a tree that will give birth to other apples and more seeds and more trees. Can do. Imprint. But without the right conditions, no can do. The Buddha had the right imprints, but without the right environment, he couldn't do it. He had to be in the right environment. So the environment that the seed requires, from which it gets its nourishment, is the soil and the climate. Fine. But also, we have to ensure that certain creatures do not destroy the sapling. We don't want little creatures chomping up the sapling. That's the environment. Family, friends, workplace, chomping, chomping, chomping. Very clear. Determination. Where does it have to be channeled? Creating the right context for us to flower into our best. Okay. Please understand. We discover ourselves. We discover our magnificence only in relationships, not in isolation, not in withdrawal from the world. Relationships. And these relationships have to be incredibly conducive for our awakening. In the absence of these relationships, in the absence of the right environment, struggle, 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 and it is still in the ditch. Now we're coming to some deeper insights. The environment that allows us to bloom into our best, allows us to flower into our best, is of two types. Physical, friends, family, work, Master B, spiritual friends, physical. But the most important environment, the most important environment, yes, psychic. The way we think and the way we feel. What we think about and what we feel about. Very, very important. Okay, important. Psychic. This implies that the way we think and feel can be influenced from vast distances. And we too can influence vast distances with our thoughts. Close proximity is important, but the same power can be experienced by us, even though what we think about is on the other side of the globe. Vast distances, instantaneous. Think of how the moon, its different phases, affects the tides worldwide. Yeah, the rising and the falling of tides worldwide, even though the moon is at a considerable distance from us. It's affecting not just the tides. Where does the word lunatic come from? Luna, moon in Latin. Yeah, lunatic, influenced by the moon. So many accidents take place. So much crime increases worldwide during full moon periods. Think about it. Do your research. We are being influenced from a distance. The sun influences us. It's even further than the moon. It influences life on the planet. Yeah. Our thoughts and our feelings have long-range power, not only to influence, but also to be influenced by other people's thinking and feelings. Very, very important. Environment in here, more important than close proximity. So when we are grateful to the good Lord daily, as often as possible, for the blessings that we enjoy, then we influence transcendental forces to walk right beside us and to aid us in crafting a brilliant destiny. When our thoughts are about me, ungrateful, criticizing and complaining and judging and fearing and resenting, they go out into the universal matrix, and it is not the Lord walking beside us. The hounds of hell biting our butt. Okay? What we think about, we bring about. Our thoughts matter because they create matter. They create the reality that crystallizes around us by the way we think and feel and behave in this world. Environment. Very, very important. Environment. How you feel? How you think? Okay. Because environment is so important, we need to align ourselves with those beings or those forces that are resonating on stellar frequencies, stellar, outstanding astronomical frequencies. Because when we think elevated thoughts, we're tuning in to elevated forces. When we think negative thoughts, we're tuning into forces that keep us bound to our misery. We have to align ourselves with forces, either in close proximity or at a distance, that are resonating on stellar frequencies. We need that resonance for us to wake up. Without that resonance, so sorry, no can do. Just think, when you're in the presence of someone who's highly negative and agitated, nervous, they walk into the room, someone arrogant, aggressive, agitated, walk into the room. The energy they bring into the room is palpable. You can pick it up. And then someone walks into the room, calm as the glacial waters, centered, loving, joyful. They walk into the room. Wow. Miyuki-san is palpable. We are affected by resonances, frequencies, wavelengths, because everything is vibration. Everything is vibrating. We need to vibrate on right frequencies. For us to raise our lives to higher frequencies, the environment has to be supportive of that. Why? Because everything in this world, everything in nature takes on its shape and color by the hue of its surroundings, by the nature and the character of its surroundings. Everything in nature, everything existing, takes on its shape and color from the hue, the nature, or the character of its surroundings. Any examples come to mind? Flora and fauna around the world. You do not find camels in the Arctic, and neither do you find polar bears in the Sahara. Everything takes on its shape and color by the hue of its surroundings. Yeah? Different plants in different zones. Different creatures, different zones. Surroundings create different realities. For us to elevate ourselves to higher frequencies, we have to be in the right surroundings. Are you understanding? Okay. Determination. Now, For determination to be of any use to us, we need to keep a universal law in mind. I've already said it, but I will say it in some other words. Our short-term actions, when performed diligently, you understand? Diligently? Must there be tomorrow? That's not diligently. When I feel like it? That's not diligently. Yeah? When our short-term actions are performed diligently in a timely manner, not in the mañana manner, they're performed diligently, consistently, skillfully, and with copious amounts of love and enthusiasm and devotion and whatever else. Okay? When these short-term actions are performed in this fashion, they will, over time, result in long-term accomplishments of the spectacular variety. Rule of life. But there's a clause. Terms and conditions apply. But only if the context in which we are operating is conducive to making it so. If the context is not conducive, we can't really bring in that copious amounts of love and skill and so on. No can do. If contexts are not conducive. For instance, could you possibly perform at your optimal levels in your workplace if your home environment was a little bit wonky, turbulent, dysfunctional? Could you? Would you be able to really focus on your work if you knew that your son was riding with the Hells Angels and your daughter got her another speeding ticket after drinking and driving, and your spouse, well, I'll let you fill in the blanks. If your home environment is a little bit like this, it's very difficult to bring full horsepower into your workplace. Very difficult for you to give your best in whatever you're aspiring to. Vice versa. Could your home environment be supersonic if your workplace was draining the life out of you? The boss is a nightmare to work with. The colleagues are all into backstabbing. Workplace are not healthy. Will home environment be healthy? So sorry, no can do. No can. The environment on all levels, external as well as internal, has to be conducive. Now, to drill this point home, here are some more examples. Please bear with me, but I have to drill it home. Tell me, who keeps fit and healthy Mm. Those who only know the importance of right nutrition, exercising daily, and keeping their emotions in check, or those who act upon this knowing by seeking guidance from those who can assist them to achieve their objectives. Who? If it was so easy for us to gobble what we love to gobble and keep ourselves healthy, then there would be no problem. But people don't know how to gobble correctly because they are into tongue worshipping, not keeping healthy. Tongue worshipping. When we do tongue worshipping, that's the consequence. Not skillful. We need guidance. How to eat, when to eat, what to eat. It's a science. How many of you know that it is terrible for you to combine fruits with your meals? Gastric nightmare. How many of you know that it's not good to eat late in the night? And yet, I know so many people who eat at 10, 11, and 12 in the night. Ridiculous. Your system is shutting down. Your biorhythm is shutting down in relation to the rhythm of the world. And you're putting food in your body at that time? Ridiculous. No assistance. Do what you want. There is the hospital right there, and the number is, please write it down. You understand? I go to the gym over here in the society I live in. Yeah, there's a little gym. And I see those muscles. Yeah, well, look closely, you might see something. All right. I go to just keep myself a little bit fit. I do yoga also, but I go to the gym. And there are times when these kids, teenagers, and kids in the mid 20s, those kind of kids, they come in, sleeveless vests. 80% of the time, they're just strutting around looking for muscles that are like mine, close to non-existent. Yeah, 80%. You're adjusting the glasses to see if this is really there or not. 20%, they're pumping weights, heavy weights, and that too incorrectly. It can cause massive damage. But they want fast muscles. They want to be like Arnie within a week or two. Check the net to see how many millions of people hurt themselves from using exercise equipment incorrectly. Massive damage worldwide. These kids have been warned not to do these things, but do they listen? Chuk, chuk. No listening. Hospital is over there. All right. And then emotions. A phone call to someone who lives on the other side of the globe to where you are can either uplift you or it can cause you trauma. Phone call. Thoughts matter. They create matter. Yeah. Our emotions. have to be in check. We cannot associate with people, even if it is family or friends living on the other side of the globe, but who are toxic in nature, negative, dull, shallow, unwholesome habits. You call up a friend who's on that frequency or a family member, and your whole day is ruined. Yeah, the emotions. And then you eat after that, even worse. Our emotions have to be conducive for us to be fit and healthy. But anybody get guidance from somebody? No guidance. Emotions all over the place. Mind turbulent like waters during the thunderstorm. Not skillful. Right. Next point. Who keeps their relationship with their spouse in optimum shape till the end of their days? They're able to cherish their spouse till the end of their days. They love their spouse. Who has the best marital relationships? Those who only know the importance of investing quality time, energy, and attention in their spouse, or those who act upon this understanding by seeking guidance and assistance from those who can show them how. Very few people. Marriage is one of the most difficult institutions on this planet. Climbing Everest in a wheelchair is easier. But to sustain marriage long term till the end of your days and cherish your partner, first to select your partner correctly, not easy. How many people walk into this long-term legal bonding only to find out that they have married a living nightmare? We train in this world for many things: to be a good musician, to be a good athlete, to be a good doctor, to be a good whatever. We go through training. But when it comes to one of the most difficult institutions on the planet, we go in blindfolded. Can you imagine the absurdity? Lord. And then that's not enough. How many people know how to parent correctly? What it means to be a good parent? No clue. Only arrogance, only self-deceit, only folly. Dysfunctional relationships, dysfunctional families all over the planet. Oh, scary. Lordy Lord, save us from our delusions. Okay, another question. How many people actually discover the brilliance they are born with, their magnificence, their divinity, their spectacular frequencies? How many people discover that? Those who only know that they have these qualities, or those who act upon them? Act upon the knowing by seeking guidance from someone who can assist them to discover the access codes, to unleash magnificence. You know access code? Locked. So sorry. Yeah. It is this undiluted arrogance unbridled self-deceit, and lifetimes of folly that keep people firmly in the ditch. Or is it the crevasse? Wake up, you guys. Wakey, wakey, wakey. Are you understanding? Just knowing about something is very different from acting upon that something. But to act correctly, a right context required. The context called learning under the right supervision. No learning without supervision equals disaster. Universal law. In the context of personal refinement, if determination is the willingness to keep showing up and putting in our best efforts at perfecting ourselves, then perseverance is the discipline of following through and to keep going regardless of the obstacles that come our way, regardless of how many lifetimes it takes for us to accomplish what we set out to do. Okay? Determination and perseverance. I'll say it again. If in the context of personal refinement, determination is the willingness to keep showing up and to keep putting in our best efforts at perfecting ourselves, then perseverance, they go hand in hand. Then perseverance is the discipline of following through, following up, following through, and to keep going till we accomplish what we set out to do, regardless of the obstacles that come our way and regardless of how many lifetimes it takes. Yep, that's the determination we need. Lifetime after lifetime, plugging along till finally, yeah, that's where we're heading. Now, perseverance, please understand, is not just a matter of time and talent. Perseverance is about finishing. It's about completions. Time and talent only offer us the possibility of accomplishment. Time and talent, possibility. But perseverance, it virtually guarantees it. Perseverance. People give up too early. There's no staying power for most people. When the practice gets difficult, they run the other way towards their comfort zones. No can do. You have no idea how often I had to face and surmount fear. Terrible fear. Petrifying fear. 2 examples. I've jumped out of planes 6 times without a parachute. Just kidding. With a parachute. Okay? The first time, sitting on the door, waiting for the instructor to say, "Go, baby, go." And if you don't go, they push you out. Yeah. You're on a static line, which means it'll open automatically. The parachute. Why? Because everybody faints with fear. You're looking down, the ground is 2,500 feet away. Wind blowing in your face. You're wondering what you're doing. What were you thinking? Jumping out of a plane? You blank out. That was one of my most petrifying realities. I did it 6 times, each time petrified. Each time I fainted. But then the chute, once it opens, it wakes you up and it's, oh, I'm alive. Okay, that's another point. Another one was when I was in the caves. 2 of the caves were rather scary. The other 2, not so scary. Yeah. Petrified, especially some occasions. There's other stories coming up. Stay tuned. Sweating, wanted to piss and shit at the same time. So scared. Yeah. But I faced my fears. Perseverance. Facing the fears, I discovered my power. We have to go through these periods in our practice. Without pushing ourselves into those zones, we'd never discover our power. Impossible. These are just 2 examples. There's so many where I've faced tremendous fear because I put myself in those environments, not because I enjoy fear, but because I enjoy discovering my power. But I have to walk through that tunnel of fear. I have to walk the gamut. So do you. No power otherwise. You can't unleash power otherwise. All right. Perseverance. It's about finishing. It's about completions. It's about not giving up. Yeah. Going through. Now, here's a strange question. Here's Brother Joe. Tough dude. Yeah. Mentally and physically prepared. He's a mountaineer. He's scaled many mountains in Europe. Brother Joe. Now, please tell me, what are the chances of Brother Joe climbing Everest with a 50-pound gorilla on his back? Baby gorilla. They're about 300, 400 pounds. It's heavy. This is just a baby. Only 50-pound gorilla on his back. Brother Joe, you think you can do it, buddy? He says he thinks so, but I'm not betting on him. Will you? Everest? 50-pound gorilla on the back. Definitely he doesn't need Gore-Tex jacket. He has live fur coat. He could probably do it. The wildest things happen, but the chances are rather minimal. Okay, Brother Joe, getting on Everest, scaling Everest with that gorilla in the back. Okay, it's doable. Kind of doable. But there is something else that all of us are obliged to embark upon. Another task, 100 times more difficult, which life calls us to embark upon. Do you know what that is? More daunting than climbing Everest with a gorilla on the back. Or climbing Everest in a wheelchair. Doable? So, what is this task that the good Lord has demanded from us? Please tell. this Herculean task, this Himalayan task, getting this chatter, chatter, chatter mind to be still. It is not still, but the stillness is imperative for us to access insights. They do not arise in a mind that is in a state of turbulence. Now, because this stillness is so incredibly crucial for our well-being, the good Lord has gifted us with it in our deep sleep state. We all have to access that stillness in a 24-hour period. Deep sleep. You're gone. You don't exist. This world doesn't exist. You're gone, baby. Yeah, deep sleep. So that kind of stillness, except you are conscious. When that mind is still, unshakable still, not a ripple of a thought, that's when the wildest realities are revealed to us. Easier to climb Everest with King Kong's baby on your back. But to still the mind that is constantly being trained to be turbulent with the distractions, with social media, with Netflix, with shopping sprees, with obsessions for wealth. No can do. Yeah. We need to still the mind. That is the determination we need to channel, the perseverance through lifetimes to walk through this world in a state of calm composure. That's why we have patience. That's why we need to renounce. That's why we need the other perfections to get to this stillness. Too much turbulence, too much fear, planning, doubts, resentments. Lord, infected with viruses. And then we wonder why we suffer. Lord, Lord. The best musicians and the best athletes in the world, they lean towards, they are drawn towards daily practice. Yes, daily practice. Not when they feel like, not mañana. And that practice, in most cases, is under proper supervision from someone who can train them to bring out their best. And that practice is also nurtured by friendships who stimulate them to bring out their best. Not just the coach, not just the mentor, not just the teacher, but also good friendships. Also their environment in the home, their environment in the workplace, whatever it may be, has to be conducive. The context determines the content. If the context is not there, content not in good shape, so sorry. Give a world-class pianist, a piano that is out of tune, and his music or her music ding, 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 will have the audience scampering for the door. Yeah. Yes. Out of tune piano. Give the best violinist an out of tune violin. And regardless of her genius, she will have you leaping out of the window. What does that tell you? That great music must have the right resonance for its expression. Great music must, read my lips, must have the right resonance for its expression, and so must we. Right resonance, stillness, no agitation. Are you getting it? Every musical instrument requires fine-tuning on a regular basis for it to produce the perfect sound quality. Needs to be tuned regularly. And you believe you don't need tuning? You believe you don't need truth serum? When was the last time you were tuned? By who? When was the last time someone gave you the truth serum to help you dispel your fantasies about yourself and the world you live in? The self-deceit, the arrogance, the folly. When was the last time you were tuned? Must be about the last rebirth. Not good. The central key requirement for channeling our determination correctly is resonance. Central requirement. Determination has to work towards the right resonance. We have to be determined to place ourselves in the right environment that allows us to bring out our best. Deep nurturing. And along with the deep nurturing, we have to align ourselves with those beings. If we are fortunate enough, we have to align ourselves with those beings who resonate on that deep, profound frequencies. Because then we pick it up ourselves. Transmission, mind to mind, heart to heart. Remember the example? If someone walks into the room who's highly agitated, who's highly arrogant, who's on this negative vibes, you will pick it up. I pick it up. But then someone walks in who is calm, joyous, loving, just they don't even have to say a word. You pick up their resonance. Yes, osmosis. We need to align ourselves with those beings who are on the frequencies we need to embody for us to wake up. Here's a story. I taught in Dharamshala, North India, for 2 years, 1990 and 1991. Long ago. In these mountainous regions in India, we have lots of foreigners coming in there, young fellows, men, women, and their primary reason is to raise their resonance to smoking frequencies. Yes, get high. Yeah, lots of weed in the mountains. So these guys come, they rent these cottages out in the wilderness so that the cops can't catch them. And then they smoke their brains away. Their life away, basically. So in one of these retreats, 10-day retreats, there was this English fellow. He had come with his girlfriend. He had graduated as a lawyer, but he didn't want to study law. It was his father had forced him. He was rebelling against this oppression from his father. He graduated, but not a happy man. So he came to Dharamshala for two reasons: to smoke, to forget his pain, and to discover himself. Now, this fellow, to fund his weed habits, he used to steal. Yes. Educated in Cambridge or Harvard or wherever, what's there in England? Okay. Thief. He's a lawyer and a thief. Lord. So he comes into the class, joins this 10-day retreat. And I can see this change in him. Yeah, I can, because I also do counseling. During the retreats, I meet each person for 10, 15 minutes just to check their vibes, to see they're on track. He was a different person after 10 days. Different. But not totally, quite different. He left the retreat. I used to have 5 days break between the retreats. In those 5 days, I would recruit, well, not recruit, people would sign up for the next retreat. There I was waiting for people to walk in and sign up for the next retreat. And our man comes in again. Hey, what are you doing here? I need another dose of the class. Okay, let's do it. He joined 2 retreats in which I talk about karma and rebirth, and I talk about all these other things that I've been talking about. Yeah, and things which is registering with him. Then after the second retreat, I was in the restaurant having my meal. And he walks in, plonks himself in front of me, and he says, Master B, there's something I would like to share with you. What is it? Yeah. He said that he had come down from his hut out there in the wilderness somewhere to buy a packet of tea and some small little supplies. And in Dharamshala, like in many other places, there are these small stalls catering mainly to these foreigners who need these supplies, along with a little bit of weed. Okay. So he'd come to this place, this small stall out there, quiet, no one around, and the guy was not there. The fellow selling stuff was not there. So his immediate reflex was to grab that tea, box of tea and whatever else he needed, and because he was a thief, remember? Well, he had made a habit of being a thief. He grabbed that and was about to move away Nobody was coming. He could have gone. He couldn't. He was paralyzed. He couldn't. After 10-day retreats, he couldn't. Sometimes he saw what was going on. He put down the stuff that he was going to take, took out the money, put it over there, and left. He could not steal any longer. That's what he came to share. Master B, I have no desire to steal anymore. None. Thank you. Thank you, Master B, for the teachings. I'm smoking a little bit, but that's also not having the desire to smoke also anymore. I just want a clear mind, Master B. I find more joy in that than in being stoned. Resonance. We need to bond with those who are on a higher resonance, because then something transfers. We transform. It's not just intellectual information that we're getting from the teacher. It's the teacher's grace. That is priceless, to have that grace showered upon us. That's the resonance we need, the right environment. What we think about, what we feel about, we bring about. To have our thoughts and feelings resonating on the right frequencies, we need to be in the right context. Here's another little story to demonstrate the power of the mind. I have 1,000 stories like this, okay, but here's just one little story. We're about to finish. I was a paying guest in Mumbai years ago. Paying guest. Yeah. Living with this elderly lady in her 60s who had a son who was schizophrenic, drug abuse. And he had been put in, what do you call them? Like a nursing home where they look after such people. He was in Pune, a city a few hours from Mumbai by train. For her, it was traumatic to have her only son be a drug addict and now flipped, poor fellow. He was a great tennis player in his youth. He had won quite a few trophies. But then, well, that's another story. Every time she had to visit him, just to see how he's doing, she would be traumatized a few weeks before because it was painful for her to be there. Anyway, the time I was with her, and the couple of years that I stayed with her as a paying guest, I would help her. I would go with her in the train journey, give her emotional support. So on this particular day, well, time, we were to meet the son the next day. Yeah. The train was leaving at 5 in the morning. Getting to the train station from where we were would take about half an hour. And then getting on the platform, finding our coach with an elderly lady. So I said to her, listen, Auntie, we need to wake up at 3, take our bath, freshen up, and catch a cab and go. Yeah, 3 o'clock, can do. Yes, Behram, we can do it. So she set her alarm clock right next to her bed for 3 o'clock, wake up. For me, my alarm clock is right here. I set a time and I wake up like this. Okay. So I was up and about 3:30, was ready to rock and roll. So I went out of my room to check if she was up and about. But from under the door, I could see that the light was not on. Yeah, I could see it's still dark. A little unusual. Hmm. I gave it some another 5 minutes or so, and then I said something is not right. So I knocked on the door. Auntie, open the door. Fast asleep. So I switched on the light. I said, Auntie, it's 3:35. Wake up. What, Behram, what? Didn't you put on the alarm clock? Yes, I did. Guys, you will be astounded to know that the alarm clock right near her bed died at 5 to 3. She had switched it off with her brain or with her resonance. She didn't want to see her son, but she, as a mother, she was obliged to see her son. She didn't want to be, she wanted to miss the train. Can you imagine? She actually switched off that alarm with her vibes. 5 to 3. The clock stopped. Stoppo. Anyway, we got the train, we got there in time. Okay? The point here is what we think about and what we feel about, we bring about. We need to align ourselves with those beings who are resonating on stellar frequencies, supersonic frequencies, because then that's the best way for us, the fastest route for us to raise our frequencies to astronomical levels when we have that kind of close bonding with a teacher or with anyone who's on those kind of frequencies. We pick it up. It just transfers. So just as, my dear friends, just as no number of prayers will make an eagle into a crow, can pray all you want. It's not happening. So sorry. No can do. We cannot have our wishbone where our backbone ought to be. We need to put in the hard yards. We need to step out in life's playing field. Get lost, get hurt, feel the paranoia at times, the scary. Oh. We have to be in life's playing field under proper supervision for us to discover what is there. Magnificence. It is only when our growth is evolutionary that the net results in our lives can be revolutionary. Only then do we discover the wings we are born with. Miyuki-san, Miyuki-san, poetry in motion. How many years practicing Kyudo that brought out that grace, that elegance, that spectacular qualities inside of her. Right there, people are there resonating on those frequencies. We need to align ourselves with them. That's what determination as a perfection is about. To align ourselves with forces that can elevate our frequencies. Not intellectual. Resonance. Resonance. Two teachers. Here's our man who knows the teachings. He can recite the teachings inside out. but only intellectual, only head knowledge. Here's a fellow who knows the teachings, and he may not even express them eloquently like this fellow can. But this fellow, because he or she has seen the Dhamma, has experienced the Dhamma, has awoken to the teachings, his resonance will transform you. This guy, nice words, very eloquent, no resonance, empty shell, cannot transform. This person, why do you think I went to different countries to connect with these teachers? I met with some profound teachers. Their vibes I've soaked in. They're right there hanging out as a hologram in my heart and mind. We need those frequencies. That's what determination as a perfection is about. Connect with the right environment. If the context does not change for the better, neither do we. Step away from people who drain your frequencies, who suck the life out of you, even if it's family members. Get away from them. Not skillful. Thank you for listening. Praise the Lord. Hopefully something has registered. Over and out. Stay well, stay happy, and please clamber out of the ditch if you're in it.